Hi, this is Ken McCarthy, and today we're talking with a fascinating person that I've been looking forward to meeting for a very long time. Her name is Jess Roney. Jess?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
And your full name's Jessica, though, right? Is that,
It is.
but people call you Jess?
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of my mother who still refers to me as Jessica. I feel like I'm in trouble if, if people say Jessica. So yeah, Jess works well.
Great. I'll call you Jess. Now, there's so many things we can talk about, and we've got to start somewhere. And the thing that drew my attention to you was the film that you helped bring into being called Unseen. And I think this is an incredibly important film that everybody in the United States and the world really needs to see. So, can you tell a little bit about how the film came to be, what it's about, and then we can talk about, the realities of this situation for so many families.
Yeah, I'd love to. The film came about, gosh, now probably 7 or 8 years ago, really, with an idea. As our son Lucas was going through puberty, Lucas has numerous diagnoses, including level 3 autism. And as he began to age, he became very aggressive, lots of behavioral challenges. He was incontinent. And I often felt like our house started to feel like a tomb. We were just so isolated. We couldn't get any help. It was very challenging to bring Lucas out into the world. The world just isn't made for families like ours. People didn't know how to respond to Lucas. And so we just kind of hunkered down. And the anxiety, the depression, my husband had numerous panic attacks. He ended up in Vanderbilt Hospital where they wondered if he was having heart attacks
Mhm.
and underwent a PET scan. And I just knew that we somehow had to bring awareness to what families like ours were going through. I had started a nonprofit called the Lucas Project. Part of our mission was to bring recognition to special needs families. And I was doing my podcast, I was writing blog posts, I was writing books, but I thought there has to be a better way to bring awareness. And I just thought maybe we could create a documentary. Had no idea what that would entail. I have absolutely no experience with creating documentaries, but I'm really good at throwing arrows at a board. And I don't mind if people say no or you're crazy or whatever. So I hopped on Facebook, had a decent audience, decent sized audience at that time, and just said, hey, I have this great idea. I think we should create a documentary to show the world what special needs families go through. If there's a filmmaker or a producer out there that would be willing to speak with me, I would love to meet up. The next day, I woke up to a message from a husband wife producing team in Nashville, Tennessee. We scheduled a lunch appointment, and the rest was history. They ended up following our family around for about 4 years through the pandemic. And we launched Unseen, I believe, in 2021. That was the premiere, how we're failing parent caregivers and why it matters. And it's just really encouraging to see now, even just 4 years later, all the conversations on a national level pertaining to not only special needs families, but to caregiving in general. So I'm just really hopeful that this film was maybe a catalyst to begin some of those conversations.
So you mentioned the term level 3 autism, and virtually everybody has heard the term autism. And they have, the idea of the spectrum. And we even have some people that you can barely notice that they're in any way troubled at all, and they declare that they're autistic. I mean, this has become quite common. What's less common, though, thanks to your film, is becoming better known, is the fact that there are levels of autism, and level 3 autism is something quite severe. And I guess the title of your film it indicates that there are a lot of people that have never really seen and aren't aware of level autism. So can you, and it's not a happy subject, but people need to know about it. Let's talk about the symptoms and the life of the child and also the family when someone is has level 3 autism.
Yeah, I mean, one of my dearest friends right now has a child with level 3 autism who is 19 years old. The mother is 58. And my texts over the past couple of days included pictures of this child she took chunks. She bit chunks out of her own arm. She bit chunks out of her mother's arm. This mother is in fear for her life. They received a knock on their door at 2 a.m. Their daughter had eloped again in the middle of the night, and the cops found her walking naked down the highway. This mother and her father have not slept in the same bed for years because the mother sleeps in a padlocked room beside her daughter all night long. She brings her to ER. They call the cops, they call 911. They come, they sedate her. The sedation wears off. They have nothing in the whole state of Indiana for this family, for this child. The mom works, or I'm sorry, the dad works. The mom is home with the child 24/7 because the school said they could no longer manage her behaviors. So she no longer attends school either. And it's a total war zone. I've said to my friend, you are the frog in the pot of boiling water and you are about to die. You cannot handle this level of trauma. And I am now in the process of assisting her and possibly making a move to a different state so that they can pursue resources for their child while the dad stays behind to earn a living. I mean, that's how drastic this situation has become. With my Lucas, he had extreme behaviors as well, but our situation wasn't as severe because of Lucas's physical limitations. Lucas can't maneuver from one spot to the other without assistance, and that almost aided us in being able to manage his behaviors and his aggression. Whereas if you have somebody who is physically completely able, as they age and they become stronger than their caregivers, it's just a ticking time bomb, like waiting to go off. Because as the caregiver ages and becomes more and more exhausted and more weary, the child is only gaining in skills and the ability to outmaneuver the parents. So I have been deeply invested in these communities for years. I've actually had to kind of step back a little bit because it's so triggering for me. Even watching the documentary, my heart still begins to race, just kind of reliving what we went through with Lucas. Lucas did a lot of screaming and a lot of head banging, so he would harm himself, but he wasn't as capable of harming siblings unless he's reaching out and trying to grab them, again, because of his physical limitations. But there are, I mean, what's the statistic right now? 1 in 33 children has autism. I think a third of those are level 3 autism. That's a lot of families living in this sort of very traumatic environment day after day.
Yeah, and that's the numbers that I wanted to get at. This is not a rare situation. If you just do the math of how many children are there, what percentage of children are on the spectrum, and then what percentage of that percentage is level three, this is a
Mhm.
lot of kids. Now, interestingly, maybe not surprisingly, we don't see government agencies or academic institutions making an effort to come up with a solid number of how many. I mean, this is an unseen and
Mhm.
largely unacknowledged phenomenon. And as you point out, this is untenable. This is impossible for human beings to endure. They do it somehow,
Mhm.
but it's beyond belief. And the other thing that we need to say that to make clear is this is not volitional behavior on the part of the children. It's not like they're deciding that they're going to be completely, uncontrolled and wild and difficult. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is it's an inflammation going on. And I know, medications have been very helpful in managing Luke's behaviors and also getting through that puberty stage. That was a very challenging stage. And you had commented, there's all of these children with autism. And I would say, and all of these children are about to become adults. And in 10 years, we will have a tsunami of individuals who need care, who need long-term solutions, whose caregivers are aging. And we are nowhere near ready for what that's going to look like on a societal level. Um, but yeah, I can only speak to my experience and what that has looked like. But even again, my friend's daughter, I guess I can speak into that. The only solution they continuously have for her is to sedate her. And what that looks like is basically getting her to a zombie-like level, because there have been no behavioral interventions that have worked with her. And I don't have a lot of answers. I know there is an organization called the National Council of Severe Autism that I believe has more of those answers and more of those accurate statistics and what exactly causes those behaviors. But yeah, from our perspective, medication has been very helpful and just aging.
Gotcha, gotcha. And you've been active in helping establish communities, or you were, I was reading somewhere in your bio that you had developed a community or were working on a community. But I couldn't
Yeah.
follow the string on that.
Yeah, we created a residential home called Hope Farm for Lucas. He's now been living there for about a year and a half with three other individuals with disabilities. Um, it's been the most amazing thing for our family. It's about 10 minutes away from us. He has gained in so many skills and independence. I've never seen him happier. And the more I process that, I mean, it was a very difficult decision to decide to move my son into a group home. But as I watch him thrive, I've realized he wanted an adult experience, just like any other 19, 20-year-old. And not only that, what 19, 20-year-old wants their mother bathing them, changing them, dressing them, feeding them? Like, I don't believe that he necessarily wanted that either. And we went over there last night. Every Monday night, we do tacos with Luke. We bring tacos and we eat and hang out on the patio, and he's so happy, and we give him hugs and kisses, and then he goes inside and he's happy to see us off. So, and it's given my kids some freedoms too, where we relied on them to help out a lot, and they don't have that added burden at home anymore of having to be a sibling plus a caregiver. And I feel that as well. I can now just be mom. I'm not Luke's mom and his caregiver. I'll always be a caregiver in some secondary capacity. Absolutely. I'm still bringing him to the doctor and
Mhm.
picking up his meds, but I'm not doing the 24/7 caregiving role anymore.
And you helped form this home.
Yeah, my husband and I created it.
Great. And do you see this? This seems to be one of the only conceivable solutions to this in the absence of, government getting involved,
Mhm.
which is families. I guess did you get a group of families together to pool their resources? Did you raise money? How
Nope.
did it come to be?
We raised money and we depleted our life savings. My husband flips houses for a living, so he
Mhm.
took about a year off and he completely renovated the home in his spare time. And yeah, we kind of joke people at our age are usually getting like vacation property somewhere or a cottage up north, and we bought a group home.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
it is what it is. And it's made a huge difference in our life. But I would encourage families to get together with other families and create solutions like this. I think um, we can sit around and wait for the government to swoop in and save us, but I just don't have a lot of belief that that's actually going to occur.
Let's talk about the structure. So, how many people live in the home? How many are there to help? How big is it? Where is it generally located? Is it in the countryside? Is it in a suburb? These kinds of practical matters that families could start thinking about.
Well, we bought a property. It's on 2 acres of land. It was a very unique property. It had two homes on the property, and the township would not allow it to be split. So there was sort of a decaying farmhouse
Hmm.
along with the ranch house that we ended up renovating. And we initially thought, well, maybe we could do two group homes, and that still is a thought in the future. I have to say we're pretty burned out right now, after all the things that we've been creating, and we're just kind of taking a pause. But so four residents live there, two females and two males. It's about a 3,000 square foot house.
Hmm.
Has a large patio area, and so the four residents live there. We're simply the landlords. we partner with a home health care agency that provides 24/7 direct care staff. So that is funded by Medicaid dollars. And we have staff that comes in every 8-hour shifts, I believe. So 2 or 3 staff members will come in for those 4 individuals, just depending on how many are there. They provide the overnight care. They make the meals. Everything that I used to do is provided by the direct care staff.
And does this depend on the state that you're in for the government funding to come, or would this work theoretically in any state?
I believe it could work in any state. We had to jump through a lot of hoops. I think what the issue comes down to is I think you can always create a group home. I think what the issue is there staff to
Hmm.
staff the home?
Sure.
And is the staffing company going to be a good staffing company?
Hmm.
Um, because I've seen some families run into issues where the staffing company that provides the care for the home doesn't have enough qualified staff, so the family is often having to take the place of the staff. I know our staffing company is amazing. She said from the get-go she was not going to pay less than $20 an hour. And she got some pushback even from our community mental health organization who said to her, well, starting wage is like 14 an hour. And our director said, I know that, but I want to start at $20 an hour because I want to be able to recruit and retain high quality staff for this home. And we still have many of the staff members that started with us a year and a half ago.
So
So I really, that's the key.
the local professionals were complaining that these people were being paid a better wage.
Well, they just said you're going to have a hard time, making a living.
Oh, I
And
see.
and she said, "Well, I'm not. She's managed. I'm not sure how,
Okay.
but she's
So if we were to put this into a formula, I guess step one, you probably want to be on a piece of land. It's probably not going to work in a city. And
no, I wouldn't say that
oh,
necessarily.
really? Okay.
There are parts of what we created that we've thought, had we thought about it differently, we don't have sidewalks and we don't have places for the residents to visit, where they could just walk on the sidewalk safely with the staff and maybe go to a park or go to an
Okay.
ice cream shop or so. I think it's just really dependent on what works best for those residents. Our initial thought was to get some animals, but then thinking that through, well, who's going to take care of those animals? You can't really ask the direct care staff to take care of all the animals and the residents. So I don't know. I think we would do it a little bit differently if we could have a do-over.
Okay, let's talk about that. So, what in your mind would be an ideal setup in terms of where the home is?
I think probably a residential area with sidewalks, with access to parks and places that you could walk to have an outing, because a lot of these individuals are in wheelchairs or need assistance maneuvering. So it is more challenging to have transportation. Um, and then public transportation. We did finally figure out the busing system. It's challenging though because they are on the bus and then they're often on there for like an hour when the event is like 10 minutes away. So
Hmm.
we're trying to figure out what that looks like. And we're researching possibly buying a vehicle as well. But I think ideally it would be a place, a ranch, an accessible ranch where the residents could go on outings with the direct care staff and they wouldn't necessarily need a vehicle to get them out of the house and enjoy different scenarios and environments.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what do you think and you mentioned ranch, you mean ranch house or you, you
Or
said you said ranch.
like a ranch style house.
Ranch
Yeah.
style house, gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's an ideal population size, do you think, for this to run well? Um, not too big and obviously not too small so that it's not feasible, but what do you think the best size would be in terms of the number of
I would say 4 to 6. I have a friend as well who created a home for just her child. And in that scenario, the ratio for the direct care staff to her child is obviously just one-on-one. So if the direct care staff calls in sick, well, mom has to go pick up that shift. And that happens a lot. Whereas with our situation with four, we typically have two or three direct care staff. So if someone calls in sick, there's at least still other staff there that can hold down the fort until a backup individual can come and relieve that or fix that situation. Um, and I think anything above six would just start to get a little bit too crowded.
Hmm.
Um, and too many behaviors in one home. I can say with our four, even at times you walk in and you're sort of like, okay, what have we got going on? I'm glad this is not my 24/7 reality anymore. This is a little bit crazy here. But it's just certain times of the day, and they all have their certain routines and their behaviors and their stimming, and at times it can feel a little bit like it's a lot. So I can imagine to get above that six number could get a little bit chaotic.
Gotcha. And then you mentioned a one-to-one ratio of caregiver to resident. Is
No, it's not one to one. It depends on their needs. So
okay.
they all go through an assessment, and depending on how high their needs are, depends on whether or not they qualify for a one-on-one caregiver.
Gotcha. So step one would be find a pleasant location where transportation's easy and there's the possibility of walking out the door with a caregiver and having fun, and
Yeah.
participating in life. Step two is not too many people, sounds like 4 to 6. You're maxing out at 6. Step three is you've got to have a strong partner in the care agency. Is that what it's called? A care agency or a?
Ours is called Community Mental Health Organization.
Okay.
Well, that's who supplies the Medicaid funding. So we have a home health care company that we partner with. And yes, that's probably step one, honestly, because if you plant a house where there isn't a good home health care company that can staff the house, you're just gonna have a house.
Gotcha, gotcha. So,
Like
so yeah. All right. So in this case, the first thing to do is find that company that
the
you can.
staffing agency, right?
And as you already pointed out, I guess it's finding an appropriate one is not automatic or easy.
Hmm.
Did you feel you lucked out, or did you do a lot of searching to find this one, or was it a mix of both?
We 100% lucked out. My sister-in-law started it to work specifically with our home.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yes.
And maybe that's part of the formula is maybe somebody in the collective, in the family collective of families, um, needs to learn how to start one of these and run them correctly. And then I think the fact that these folks need to be paid well to
Hmm.
motivate them to stay is very important because I think the consistency's got to be one of the most important elements too. You're not having new people show up and come and go all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with an autism diagnosis. You
Oh
know,
yeah, of course, yeah. You don't want a lot of
yeah.
changes going on.
Yep.
And you mentioned it's Medicaid that covers the cost.
Uh, for the staffing, yes. Um,
So
yeah.
so the personnel, uh, if you can make all the arrangements and get the right people and jump through whatever bureaucratic hoops need to be
Hmm.
jumped through, at least the staffing is covered, and then the families who I imagine do this collectively, then they pay the taxes on the house and the all that kind of thing.
Well, we're the landlords for the house, so each resident pays rent
Oh, I see.
for their room to us out of their Social Security income.
Gotcha.
Um, so they're not out any money necessarily. They all receive Social Security. They all receive an EBT card for their groceries. Most are on Medicaid for their health insurance, and then their 24/7 care is covered by Medicaid.
Okay, so financially then, if you can put all the pieces together, you've got kind of got a financial machine that's running itself. Or
Yeah.
am I missing
I
a piece?
mean, we're over there about once a week fixing stuff, and
So you're the
um,
landlords.
we're the landlords.
That's a
Exactly.
landlord's fate, no matter
Yep.
what the situation is. So you need a good landlord. Um, even if a group of families collectively buys a house, you still have to have a landlord be responsible for
Right.
everything. So you need a strong landlord, you need a nice house, you need to be in a location that's accessible to fun stuff and all the practical things that are needed. You need a really strong healthcare group that you're working with that's
Mhm.
committed, that understands what they're getting into, and is committed and is skilled and can attract great people. So
Just, yeah, just those things.
just a few things. Well,
Right.
it's a business. It becomes like everything in life. It becomes a business, but it's not a unthinkable business. It's not like, oh, this never has been. We're talking about flying to the moon. No, we're not really talking about flying to the moon. We're talking about a lot of moving pieces, but something that is possible. It's in the
Right.
realm of and better for a group of families to do together than for one family to try to do it for one child. It sounds like.
Yeah, I think I would disagree with that.
Okay.
Then you have too many opinions, I
Ah,
think,
true.
going on. And, families with special needs children have very strong opinions about how things are going to be run. And we're just the landlords. This is how it's going to be done. You pay us the check. And this wasn't totally out of our realm of experience either. My husband has other rental properties. And so
Gotcha.
this was our idea of sort of not expanding our portfolio, but let's see if we can create and manage a rental property for like as a group home versus for a family, a typical family type of thing. Um, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's profitable, but it breaks even once we can pay back the amount that we've put into it. It will start to be somewhat profitable.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're basically applying business skills that you already had
Mhm.
from being in the real estate industry, which involves acquiring properties, making them nice, um, being the landlord, making sure the roof isn't falling in and
Right.
the lawn gets mowed, all that kind of stuff. So good. I get this. This is an important distinction. So it might not be the best idea for a committee, a family committee to get together and try to run something like this. It would be better for one person that understands how this whole thing
Yeah.
operates to acquire the house. I mean, potentially. I mean, I'm just thinking of financial things. I'm a business person myself. Um, families could be part owners. I don't know. I'm just thinking of, let's say there was a real shortage of money. Nobody could come up with enough for the house. Possibly families could pool their resources with the understanding that the landlord, whoever is designated the landlord, would be the boss
Right.
of landlord issues.
And maybe pay that individual like a maintenance fee or, to maintain the property because that does take a lot of time
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah. So just thinking this through, that might be a possible way to go. But I guess this for the families, it might be simpler just to say, oh my God, I can rent a place in this wonderful home that's being well cared for, that has great staff, and all I have to do is basically take the Social Security check and pay the rent with it.
Well, and along that line of thought, you don't even have to purchase a home really. If you could find a four-bedroom duplex and find four other families, and you all pool the Social Security money for your children, so they each get a bedroom in this rental property, partner with a home health care agency, then somebody else is the landlord entirely. And that individual can't discriminate against people with disabilities, so you wouldn't have to purchase a property, you wouldn't have to have the home ownership or the maintenance or anything if you wanted to go that route.
So yeah, so you might be able to find a local real estate person, landlord person, a good-hearted, intelligent person who can grasp the value of providing that service.
Hmm.
So that's another way. Okay, yeah. So I'm just thinking of all the families out there that are in this situation that aren't being shown a way forward.
Yeah.
and we have to do it. We have to show a way forward. That's why I was so attracted to your story. You know, you made the film to help raise awareness, and then you set up this situation where six young people are able to live their lives and be well cared for, and their families can care for them, but have normal lives. Because let's go back to this. It's impossible to have a normal life and a level three autistic child. It just
Yeah,
it's an ordeal. I mean,
yeah,
there's really no other way to put it. And so your film has helped raise awareness that level three even exists. Because I'm going to guess the majority of Americans still aren't aware that level three autism exists. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. They've never encountered it, uh, which is an amazing blind spot in American society and in our public health arena. Now you've made the film, and now people like Robert F. Kennedy, I think he was always aware of level three autism, but because there was a film to talk about, um, and your books, now there is something for people to stand on when they're talking about the phenomenon. Is I guess the point I'm trying to make.
yeah, I would say so. And I think he definitely brought the topic to the forefront. And I think we see a lot of controversy now surrounding some of his statements, but at least people are talking about it. And just to clarify, Unseen wasn't even about autism, really. It was about parent caregivers in general.
Hmm.
Luke has autism. He has level three autism, but he also has 7 or 8 other diagnoses as well that make it challenging to raise him. And we absolutely did, and we would, and um, for many, many years. But, like I referenced with my friend, you start to become the frog in the pot of boiling water, and you don't even really realize it. The heat intensifies, and you feel your heart, palpitations and your anxiety rising, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you hardly even recognize yourself anymore because the stress definitely takes a toll after a while.
So this we're talking in terms of level three autism, but there are many children with very definite severe needs that are difficult to provide um, just by a family alone. Um,
Yeah, and I'm not really sure how you manage those behaviors even. I mean, we had to turn away families for our group home whose children had behaviors that were too severe that would have harmed others in the home. So I don't really know what you do for those families. I know, we hate the word institutionalize, but I think there has to be some reframing of these systems because you can't necessarily put a violent individual who will harm others in a group home and say, gosh, I hope it works out and nobody gets hurt. So we had to make hard decisions. And we had some families that weren't real happy with us because we had to say no to their child because it just would have been harmful to the other residents. And I know those families hear no all the time. That's my friend's situation as well. She hears no all the time. Nobody wants her daughter. She's like, I wish they had institutions because I don't know what else to do. And she said, absolutely, we need like an overhaul of the institutional model. But some individuals do need that high level of security in order to thrive and to not be dangerous to other people.
yeah, I mean we have a strange history. There were no institutions, and then far-sighted individuals realized there were people that had special needs and built institutions,
Mhm.
and then which was a humanitarian act and a very practical act as well. And then those institutions were horribly run in some cases. And then the bizarre solution was not to fix the institutions, but to just disband them.
Wipe them out.
Yeah,
Right.
which is, well, that's not a solution. For people
Right.
that are in who have really severe conditions,
Right.
that's
I
not a
think it could be
solution at all.
done right. It could be done well.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I don't know what the solution is for these families.
Um,
Nobody wants them.
Now, you mentioned that taking a bit of a break, uh, but I imagine you're still an activist, or you're transitioning to normal life, or where are you at?
You know, after we moved Luke into Hope Farm, I hit total burnout. Um, I was exhausted and I realized I really hadn't come up for air in about 19 years.
Hmm.
And I just wiped my schedule clean for a couple of months. And I'm slowly reemerging. I paused my podcast. I am starting to schedule guests again on that. We're working on another documentary called Uncertain, exploring the housing crisis for disabled young adults and their families. You can view the trailer for that at uncertaindoc.com.
Uncertain doc,
Mhm,
DOC.
DOC, yep, .com. I'm really excited about that project. My husband and I have considered another group home. Like I said, we're not quite there yet, but we do understand the formula and we understand how desperately families need solutions like this. And I'm working on another book. So yeah, I'm getting back into the groove. I'm also doing some homeschooling this year, um, baking a lot of bread. I figured out sourdough and I
You
love it.
did. I'm
Yep.
on that trail myself. Maybe
Yep.
after the call you could explain to me how to do it. I'm actually really intrigued. I've started to make yogurt,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
and
do that too.
it's the most awesome thing.
Yep.
Uh, um, so yeah, something just popped into my mind, which is, there's this large community of local real estate entrepreneurs. They're in every community, people that buy and sell and fix and flip
Hmm.
houses and rent houses. And within that community, there's probably a percentage, I don't know whether it's a minority or majority, probably a minority, but there's a percentage of that group that would be receptive to what you've discovered and what you've developed. Um, that would be an interesting campaign to find those people and provide them with training on how to go ahead and build something like you and your husband built for this home. Just a
That
side thought.
that was our long-term goal was to teach other investors. And we have floated the idea by a few, and there's a big hesitation. There's a fear of the unknown, I think. And until people become more comfortable with, kids like ours, I think there's going to be pushback because that's part of the problem with even getting respite care is, people sort of fear what they don't understand. And they look at our children and they're like, I don't really understand that diagnosis or how to manage those behaviors. And so we haven't gotten a real warm reception when we have suggested the idea to a few investors because I think it's just unfamiliar.
I think it's probably one of these things where you have to somehow, I don't know what the means would be, maybe another film, maybe your third film, maybe related to the film you're making now, which would be to cast a wide net. Um, and that there might only be a tiny percentage of real estate people who would say, "Oh, yeah, we have a family member like this. I know what this is. Oh,
Right,
God, what a brilliant idea. Let's do one.
right.
We know how
Let's
to
try
do it."
it.
But
Yeah,
I think
let's
it's
try
going to
it.
require a huge net because I don't think if you go one by one, you'll probably get discouraged because I think the vast majority are probably going to say, "I don't need that kind of a problem."
And liability.
And liability and all that, of course.
And
Yeah,
that's the other side of the coin. It's a pretty big liability to take on something like this.
gotcha. And you mentioned your books. You're quite the prolific author.
Oh, well, thank you.
You are. I mean, I can count. You've written more
Right?
than one. Um,
I do enjoy writing.
oh, that's great. That's great. Um, okay, now here's the most important question. How can people assist you in what you're doing? How can how can they
Well,
send you money? Let's just cut right to the chase.
I mean, they can buy my books if you want to
Okay.
assist my personal LLC. That's for the Lucas Project. We're always, accepting donations. That's a nonprofit organization at thelucasproject.org. Right now, we have a really fun campaign going on where you can nominate a caregiver and we will send them a care package with a specific message from you. So if you go to the lucasproject.org, you can nominate any sort of caregiver. It's not just special needs caregivers in honor of National Caregivers Month in November. And we will send a care package, which is just sort of a goodie box full of luxury type respite items that say,
Mhm.
we see you, we encourage you to keep going type of thing. Um, in terms of, creating more group homes, we're not there. So maybe someday I'll be soliciting money for that. But yeah, with the Lucas Project as well, we recently started a club called the Meet and Mingle Club,
Mhm.
where we provide respite to older individuals ages 13 to 50. And that is doing really well and has been very helpful for our families in the area.
Let's talk about that if we could. Respite, what's that?
That's providing the families with a break. So once a month, from 9 to noon, you can drop off your disabled loved one with us in a safe environment with trained volunteers and staff, and we provide activities, snacks, movies, all kinds of fun things, and you can go take a break for 3 hours. And I know it's not enough. I know 3 hours isn't enough, but it's something. And we're hopeful that if this program can grow, we can begin to extend it to be 4 or 5 hours, or maybe some night options, some weekend options, because we know how desperately families like ours need a break. We went for years without a break, and that's what landed my husband in the ER with panic attacks that resembled heart attacks, because we just never got a break.
Mm.
And I know many families live this way. And so I think we all just need some rest. And even as I've gotten older, I've learned there's a big distinction between even self-care and rest care.
Mhm.
Self-care is still kind of being productive. I'm really good at even writing all my self-care things down on my to-do list. Do yoga, go for your walk, drink water, do your fast, but like we don't just rest and do nothing and like truly become present with whatever's going on. And so as I've sort of processed that distinction and I've really begun to prioritize that rest care where I can let my mind truly relax and enter into a state of rest. And it's challenging for a very type A Enneagram 1 personality, but I think I'm getting there.
And so this respite program gives families a chance to have 3 hours a month
Mhm.
where they don't have to deal with anything other than resting.
Right. And maybe it's going to your car and closing your eyes for 3 hours. I mean, just to get that break that you need.
And this is operated under the Lucas Foundation.
Yes, currently only here in West Michigan. The goal is to eventually have a curriculum that we can offer to other communities throughout the nation.
Gotcha, gotcha. So by supporting the Lucas Foundation, does that also help you make the film? Is the Lucas Foundation making the film?
We are the fiscal sponsor for the film. So,
Okay.
yes, we help to raise funding for that.
So if somebody wants to support this new film,
Mhm.
if somebody wants to support this model respite program that you're operating in Western Michigan, um, by giving to the Lucas Foundation, that's what they're doing.
Yes,
And you have
along
this.
with,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we have a bunch of other programs and things we have going on. We have a support group that has almost 3,000 caregivers that's completely free online. And the link for that is at our website. We have a caregivers database with over 350 resources for caregivers. The Nominate a Caregiver, the films, the podcast, and the M&M Club.
The 3,000, I assume that that's national or international.
Yes, national. Yep.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And it's a way for people who are in this situation to meet and talk and get support.
Meet, talk. We provide workouts. We provide yoga. There's a book club. We recognize that a lot of caregivers do struggle with leaving their homes because of their children. And so I know it's not a perfect solution. I mean, the perfect solution would be real life community, but it offers some sort of community.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what's the web address for the Lucas Foundation?
The lucasproject.org.
Great. The lucasproject.org. And by supporting that, they're supporting all these things you're working on now and the things that you have the plan ultimately to get to in the future, which is maybe teach people how to create respite programs in their community.
Hmm. Yep.
And let me ask one more last question about the respite. Do you have professional caregivers that are part of that, or is this done, or your family takes care of that for them, or who does the actual provision of the care and the space during those 3 hours?
Trained staff or
Okay.
volunteers, they have to go through an extensive training before they can care for the individuals who come.
It strikes me too that this is a way, this is a great community forming um, enterprise because everybody, starts to learn about it and they start
Mhm.
contributing or volunteering or taking advantage of it. And now you're building a community that could possibly someday get together to start a home or
Right.
two or three or four.
Yes, exactly. And we've seen those circles start already because while their children are being cared for in one area of the facility, we do offer another area of the facility where the caregivers can come together for coffee and donuts and conversation. So if they don't want to leave, they can begin to build that community while their loved one is being cared for.
This is just so great. This is such a great enterprise. So the Lucas, Luc or Luc?
lucasproject.org.
lucasproject.org. I'm going to be sending you more. And I want to encourage everybody listening to this. This is a good venture, and it's so needed. And this is a group of our fellow citizens and Americans that are just not getting the support they need. And so it's really going to be up to us to help. You know.
Mhm.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for this time. And I do want to talk to you a little bit the formal interview stops. We covered a lot. I don't know, is there anything that important that I left out or something you want to say to just summarize your venture?
Um, I do have a BOGO deal going on my book right now, Caregiving with Grit and Grace, at my website, jessronnie.com. Two copies of the book for $15 plus free shipping. So I'm encouraging everybody to buy a couple of copies to have on hand in honor of National Caregivers Month. And you can keep a copy and give one away. It's been a really amazing source of hope and encouragement for many caregivers.
It's a beautiful book. I got a copy myself. Oh no,
Oh, good.
you sent me a copy, I think.
Oh, I did.
We
Yes.
traded books. We traded books.
Yes. I don't know that I got yours.
Oh no, it didn't. Yeah, wasn't there a weird glitch? You said it didn't arrive and
Yes, I did. Yes, it's in my pile.
okay,
I've
good
gotten
enough.
like 5 books in the past week and they're starting to pile up, but they're there. Yes.
Well, good enough. I'm glad you got it, and I'm really glad to get your book. It's a beautiful book. You produced it beautifully,
Well, thank
and
you.
it's
I
a
didn't produce it, but Broad
oh,
Street Publishing did a
well.
beautiful job.
You were the producer, like you arranged for them to do it.
Yes,
You know,
very true.
the guy that makes the film doesn't. The producer of the film doesn't necessarily sit there and cut the film and splice it
That's
together,
true.
but he or she produces it.
That's
It's a
true.
beautiful book. I didn't have any particular expectation one way or the other, but when it arrived, I was like, wow, this is good.
I agree. It's a beautiful book to gift to a caregiver.
Cool. Well, Jess, thank you so much. Lucas with the C project.org.
Correct. Thank you.